Hi, it's Rob, and this is video number 5 in my series, Marketing for Catholic Schools. In previous videos leading up to this one, I've talked about stories and the stories we tell ourselves. I'd like to dig a little deeper into stories because stories can be a huge part of your marketing efforts. But they can also be complicated because there's a couple of different types of stories that we can be aware of. And it can be a little tricky to get your head around. So here we go. The first story is the story that we tell ourselves when we buy something. We always do because I'll say most of our decisions are not rational. Most of our decisions come from a place of emotion, from the story we tell ourselves about how it's going to make us feel. So think about when you buy new clothes. Let's say you haven't even left your house yet, and you're thinking, I need new clothes. Because you picture yourself wherever you spend the most time, in your casual setting or at work or whatever you think you need clothes for, and you picture yourself wearing worn out clothes, and that doesn't make you feel very good. You picture yourself maybe wearing newer clothes, and how does that make you feel? So let's go buy new clothes. And when you get to the store, you pick out clothes that you might like. You pick out shoes that you like. And when you buy these things, you didn't buy them because you saw them in a commercial or an advertisement, maybe not even on a website unless you're shopping online. If you're in the store, you've already decided that you're going to buy new clothes. Now it's just a matter of which clothes. Okay, let's say you're planning on going on vacation, and you've got to plan a vacation. And you plan to go maybe a short vacation at an amusement park. And you're going to take your family or some friends. When you're planning this vacation and you think about, hey, maybe we should go on vacation. Really, that early in the thinking stages, you're already telling yourself a story about what it's going to be like when you get there. So it's important to know that we do tell ourselves these stories about every decision that we make. And when we finally decide to make the decision, we're already way down at the end of the story. We already have decided in our minds how we want it to turn out. Then we go and we make the decision, we make the purchase. But the story's already in place. This is not any different than those you serve, the parents of your school, that have already got a story in their head of where they want their child to be. Maybe it's during school, maybe it's the end of the school year, maybe it's high school. Maybe they see them as a grown-up raising a family, but they've already got the story, and they're already all the way down the road, clear at the end. And now they have to come back and take this step in order to get where they want to be. This is an important story because this is where we want to meet them all the way down at the end. Now, this analysis comes from Donald Miller. Donald Miller in his book, Building a Story Brand. And it goes like this. If you take any of the movies that you watch, pick a Hallmark movie, pick an Avengers movie, pick whatever movie it is, it's a story. Now, the story typically starts out with the hero, and the hero is living their life normally or somewhat routine, and then a problem happens. And they have to solve this problem. And in order to solve the problem, they may solve smaller problems throughout until they're able to get to the final problem, the final resolution of the main problem, and they show themselves as the hero for doing so. But during the movie, and you'll find this as you start watching movies, there's always a guide. There's always somebody that the hero refers to or goes to or seeks that helps the hero stay on their path, go where they need to go, get the resources they need, find what they need in order to solve the smaller problems to solve the big problem. So, if you consider that structure of story and you apply it to the story that the parents are telling themselves about where they see their family in the future, now you find your role is the guide. You are the guide. You and everyone else employed at your school are guides that are going to help the parents fulfill their story. And knowing your role as a guide can help the way you approach your marketing for the parents. The next part of this is actually giving them a story. Now, this one's a little trickier because when you give someone a story, maybe they don't have the story in their head yet. Maybe they haven't planned it. So, what we can do ethically is to give them a story of where they could be. And so when we start realizing the story of the people that do come to your school, and you provide that story to the people who don't come to your school, perhaps then they gain interest in that story and they adopt that story as their own. And then they allow you to be the guide to bring them along on their new journey. There's another story, and the story is formed from the experience they get working with you and with your school. And this story is an important one also. This is the story that happens in hindsight, that's formed later, after an experience, that when they leave the school and they go home, or they go on Facebook, or they meet with their peers, and they're telling a story of experience with you, that's another story that's very important in your marketing. And we want that story to be positive, and we want that story to have you as the guide that helped them get where they need to be, even though they didn't know that's where they needed to be. Or maybe they didn't know that's where they wanted to be. But you were the guide, and you can help them get there. So that's my short little thought on stories. We'll talk about more stories as we go. Thank you for watching. Thank you for what you do.